Welcome to unity. Welcome to unity. Welcome to unity. Welcome. Welcome to unity. Welcome to unity. Welcome to unity. Welcome. Join us in singing. Join us in prayer. Join us in touching hearts of people everywhere. Welcome to unity. Welcome to unity. Welcome to unity. Welcome.
Welcome, everybody, to Sunday service at Unity of Vancouver Island. And before we go any further, let's just take a moment and acknowledge that we are on the unceded and traditional territory of the Senemo people, and wherever we are, acknowledge that you are on the territory of somebody else's land here on Vancouver Island or anywhere in Canada where you might be joining us from.
No matter where you've come from, no matter where you're going, here's a place where you can take comfort in the knowing that whether if you've come to stay a while or just passing through, this door is open to you. Come, let's be silent. Come and share a hug. Come, let's pray together. Come, love and be loved. From the blissed out to the turned out, from the pampered to the abused, this door is open to you. Come on in. Come on in. The God in us recognizes the God in you. Whether you're black or white, gay or straight, Christian, Buddhist or Jew, this door is open to you. If there's some kind of trouble or pain you're going through, know that you are not alone and someone cares for you. As an individualization of divine point of view, this door, oh this door right here is open for you. Oh this door, I'm talking about this door. I said this door is open to you. Come on in. Come on in. The God in us recognizes the God in you. Whether you're black or white, gay or straight, Christian, Buddhist or Jew, this door is open to you. Belongs to everyone. The best things in life are free. The stars belong to everyone. They shine there for you and me. The flowers in spring, the robins that sing, the sunbeams that shine, they're yours, they're mine. Love can come to everyone. The best things in life are free. The life and love of God is ours. The best things in life are we. We're beauty and prosperity and all that we want to be. The energy flows from our head to our toes. we're vital and free. I'm you, you're me, and love can come to everyone. The best things in life are we. Yeah, the best things in life are free.
Thank you, Ken. Awesome job, Nico. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to, today's a big day. Today's a big day. We have our AGM today, and it's our first as Unity of Vancouver Island. I'm very excited about that. But before we get to that, we have this morning service to be present, to be here now. And this past week, I have a large presentation to do tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. As one of my classes, and it's on a biblical scripture. So this is for my biblical interpretation class. It's around Jacob's ladder. So I have been in this world of Jacob's ladder for an entire 10 days now. And right now what's coming up for me is the moment when Jacob has awoken and he says, "Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it." And he decides to take one of the rocks that he had laid his head on. And I imagine it's a bit of a cylinder rock, and he stands it up in the ground, and he anoints it with oil. And that's very ceremonial, and it's very purposeful. And what it establishes is a place in the ground, a center where from something can grow. So if you were to imagine, if you're lost in the wilderness with a small group of people and it's nighttime and it's scary, you might have a fire. And so you stay close to that fire because it gives light and you feel safer. It's sort of like you're in that cosmos of safety. And if you go beyond that light, it's chaos and it's scary out there, and you could get eaten. You know, something bad could happen to you. And so when you go back 4,000 years to when Jacob put this cylinder in the ground and decided that this would be a place, this would be a center from which something could grow. And Jacob went on to develop the 12 tribes of Israel, that was a centering point. That was a call that everybody could cling to. And the reason I bring this up this morning, this being a day also for our AGM, is that that's what I envision here. That this is a center for all of us. This is a point in which we can move in any direction. So if you were to imagine that compass that gets put on the earth where there's a north and a south and an east and a west, that's right here. That's this moment. We're all a part of that. And we get to move out from that center and push out against that boundary, that edge of the cosmos where feels like a little bit of chaos, and maybe it's scary to move beyond that, but that's the beauty of a community, is we get to do that together. We get to do that as one and lean on each other in moments when maybe it's too scary for me or it's too scary for you. That's what we're here for, is to be together and to be one another. So just join me in a moment of silence as we acknowledge this beautiful place that we share, this centering, this unity. Our togetherness, our oneness, our divine purpose. And we acknowledge that we have each other to build on, to learn from, and to grow with. And so it is. You need somebody to pray with? Well, you can have that. Margaret will be standing by 11:30 today after service. There's a Zoom meeting ID and passcode on your screen. You may need to pause in the waiting room, and Margaret will bring you in once she's ready to bring you in. There might be somebody just slightly before you, so just be patient and allow that to unfold. So again, the meeting ID is on your screen. Please write that down. If not, you can always go back to the YouTube feed or the Facebook feed and what do they call that when you... Newsletter. Buffer? Well, it's in the newsletter as well, but... Scrub, thank you. That's actually called scrubbing when you take the little cursor on the bottom and you scrub back and forth through the video. You can do that and get the information there. Stand with our Indigenous sisters and brothers today. There's a Unity Canada Vigil at 4 p.m. And this is also a Zoom meeting. There's an ID on your screen. I believe it's in the newsletter as well. So pretty much whatever I'm telling you today is in the newsletter. But yes, please join us at 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time today for the Unity Canada Vigil. And join us in song.
God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. Love is my source, love is my power. Love gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Love gives me everything I need. Joy is my source, joy is my power. Joy gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Joy gives me everything I need. Peace is my source, peace is my power. Peace gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Peace gives me everything I need. Peace gives me everything I need. Peace gives me everything I need.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, the law of demand and supply. Oh, I see.
We'll switcheroo.
Emily Cady, in her Lessons in Truth, tells us, one of the unerring truths or facts in the universe is that somewhere there is already provided a lavish abundance for every human want. In other words, the supply of every good always somewhere awaits the demand. Another truth or fact is that the demand must be made before the supply can come forth to fill it. To recognize and affirm these two statements is the whole secret to understanding faith. Not naive or gullible faith, but faith based on understanding. Faith based on understanding the way the law of demand and supply works is not airy-fairy, not when it's based on understanding of the spiritual law. When and when your faith is based on understanding the way the law works, it's very scientific. It's very logical. So Katie goes on, faith is the substance of things hoped for. Charles Fillmore always said that substance is what will become form when it's brought from the spiritual into the material, from the invisible to the visible. She says, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Faith takes hold of the substance of the thing hoped for and brings into evidence or visibility the things not seen. And that's the law that Jesus used. For him, there was no asking or begging or pleading. He was simply complying with the unfailing law which is compelled to work. So we need to make the demand. We ask for things we desire. That's the demand. Desire, what's desire? Paul Hasselbeck, Thomas knows Paul Hasselbeck as well. He says the desire is the beginning of love. Desire is the beginning of love. And if you look at the breakdown of the word desire, D is from, and sire is to father. So desire is the beginning of love. And Katie says, desire in the heart is always God tapping at the door of your consciousness with his infinite supply. A supply which is forever useless unless there be a demand for it. And she says, before you were conscious of any desire for more happiness or fullness of life, the great father-mother heart has desired it for you. It is this desiring that you feel and think it is only yourself. It is this first approach of the thing itself striking you that makes you desire it or even think of it at all. So anything you desire is already somewhere available in lavish abundance. But we have been trained to think of ourselves as selfish if we go around asking for things and expecting things, don't we? When I was a child, we used to go on Sunday drives, and we'd always say, can we have an ice cream cone? And my mother would always say, maybe, if you don't ask. And her favorite saying was, them that asks don't get, them that don't ask don't want. I was like, huh? That ice cream cone was already waiting for us at the confectionery store. We had to accept everything. It was already there if we put the demand on it. To not accept everything that we want, therefore, is a rejection of spirit trying to express through us as that thing. So I have a reputation, a bit of a reputation, for doing it all myself. And that's not all bad. I like the fact that I chip in and help most of the time. But thinking back on that, I now recognize where that came from. When I hear my mother's voice saying, them that ask don't get, them that don't ask don't want. And I think she was trying to be witty or amusing, but the subconscious message to a child was, you ain't never going to have everything given to you. You got to go out there and work for it and do it yourself. That's something I have to overcome in order to accept what Emily Cady is teaching. Chances are you have something similar lurking in your consciousness, subconsciousness. Were you taught that everything you desire in life is achievable? Or were you taught that life is a struggle and you're probably going to have to settle for a lot less than you desire? Anybody? So usually when we think of the law, we normally say the law of supply and demand, we're thinking in terms of economics, our market system. That's a purely physical thing. So the law of supply and demand is, when an item is scarce but many people want it, the price of the item will rise. And if there's a larger supply than is demanded, the price will fall. And in order to keep the price up, the suppliers only create enough to fulfill the demand, or they start advertising in order to create the demand. Someone once said that advertising what makes you think you've longed all your life for something you never heard of till just now. But there is no price for the spiritual supply. It's freely given and it's already given. So normally, if we want something that doesn't exist, we need to create it ourselves. We invent it. And we do that not by ourselves, but by accessing that eternal supply that's already waiting for us, knowing that somewhere it already exists. I had an Auntie Dodo, was the woman who actually introduced me to New Thought Thinkings. And she had a beautiful little Carmen Ghia convertible. And she had a license plate that said India, only the initial consonant was a Y, India. And for the longest time, she wouldn't tell me what it meant. But once I was deep into New Thought myself, she confided that she has that with her all the time because it stands for you're not doing it alone. There is that supply always waiting. Every invention, every creation is a tapping into the infinite and discovering that it already exists. And the universe, God, the infinite, doesn't make judgments about what we're inventing and creating. It creates whatever we tell it to. That's what it does. That's the law. And that's why we've had some very strange inventions get patented lately. I'll just share a couple of things with you. Ice cube mix.
Ice cube what?
Tricycle kickstand. Dehydrated water. Fireproof matches. Reversible sandwich bread. And disposable garbage bags. So that's the law. It will create whatever we think up. So how about we turn away from the law of supply and demand? That's just something that economists made up. Someone once said to me, if you lined up all the economists in the world head to toe, they would still point in every direction. Economics is a construct of the physical world. And the truth is that everything that has ever been or ever will be already exists in infinite mind. So metaphysics, meaning beyond physics, and quantum physics maintain that ultimately, once a physical substance is broken down to its smallest parts, its elements, its molecules, atoms, and subatomic particles, ultimately it's all one stuff that can be arranged and rearranged. It's energy, it's spirit, if you will. Deepak Chopra says it's all sense and non-stuff, or the dream stuff is made of. You might need to think about those a little bit. So we think that things don't exist if they don't exist in this space at this time. They do. Everything exists, and if we wish to experience them, we have to bring them into materialization out of non-space, non-time. And we can't do that by working hard and doing it all ourselves. We do that by making a demand upon all that is, and then working hard. Everything is already given. Before you asked, have I given unto you? And you must ask. That's the law of demand and supply. There's a whole mountain there for us to enjoy. There's a whole ocean for us to enjoy. A meadow is there, giving its beauty to saint and sinner alike. It's all there for whoever takes advantage of it. All the drinking water we will ever need is available to us. But we have to go to the river. And the river doesn't care whether we just take a handful and splash our face, or whether we take a bucket of it back to our campsite, or whether we dam it up and provide water for a whole city. It doesn't care. It does what we ask it to. But we have to make the demand. In the metaphysical sense, the supply is unlimited and we can demand as much as we want. But we can't hoard it, because hoarding is now a denial of the abundance, isn't it? We hoard because we're afraid there's not enough. So we don't hoard, we have to let it go, circulate freely, because hoarding it creates the apparent shortage of anything, damming it up all in one place. I know you've heard that the way they trap monkeys is to put food inside a narrow-necked bottle. The monkey reaches in, grabs the food, and now his hand won't come back out of the bottle. We have to let go. We can't open our arms to accept new things by clutching tightly if we're in fear of the little bit we already have. And that's the principle behind tithing. or any giving. You must let go of what you have. And at Unity Vancouver Island, I want to let you know that we continue the value established by the three previous Unity communities, and that value is meticulous tithing. 10% of everything. And that's what's created our prosperity. When I first came here, we were tithing on the net profit. So in a month when we had a positive cash flow, we tithed on what the profit was. And I came and I said, no, we've got to tithe on all the gifts. And then Thomas and Don came on the board with an even higher consciousness and said, no, we tithe on everything. Gifts, grants, government subsidies, doesn't matter. Everything that comes through this door gets tithed on. And so that has created, I believe, the prosperity we're enjoying today. And I know it doesn't make sense that you have to give more in order to have more. But those who have made the choice in our personal finance, we can attest to the effectiveness of it. Tithing is the way to abundance. Like the farmer who returns the best 10% of her crop back to the earth for next year. We return 10%, the best 10%, back to our source, to do God's work. And I want to let you know that the board has recently completed our tithes as Unity of Nanaimo and dispersed the last of our tithes. They went to Family Life Association, Child Development Center, and Ally Global, which is an international association offering aid to victims of human trafficking. So, the law of demand and supply says we must make a demand upon the infinite supply. And we must make that demand with faith. You know, we sometimes think we make an affirmation, that's faith, that's creating the demand upon this on the supply. But an affirmation without faith is not a demand, it's a request, it's a suggestion, it's an idea. And sometimes it's even a step backwards if your affirmation actually creates doubt in your mind instead of faith. Affirmations are good, are wonderful, but you have to believe them. And you have to keep saying them until your belief has turned into absolute faith. One of the great teaching parables in the Bible is the story of the widow who came to Elisha in distress. And she had been left destitute by the death of her husband, and she could not pay the bills. And the creditors were pressing her. According to Talmudic law, she needed to forfeit her 2 sons to pay for the debt. So she came to Elijah in desperation, and he said to her, "What have you in the house?" She said, "I have only 1 pot of oil." What he was really asking metaphorically is, what is in this house? What is in your consciousness? And her reply indicated that her consciousness was on scarcity, onlyness. And so he told her to go to her neighbors and gather their pots and pour her oil into them. And when she did that, her 1 pot of oil filled all the neighbors' pots, and only then did the flow stop. Metaphorically, going to her neighbors was expanding her mind to take in new ideas of abundance. And when as many ideas as she can have, that's what she can attract. So if she had gathered even more neighbors' pots, she would have had more oil to pour into them. That's another example of what I said about the law of tithing. It doesn't make sense logically, but it's something we need to know. You have to make a demand upon the eternal supply, and the supply is eternal. I may have told you this story before, but I think it's a goodie, and I'm going to tell it again. When I was installed as the minister in Kamloops, there was some discussion about whether we should have a little banquet before the ceremony. And in Kamloops, unfortunately, there was not a very good prosperity consciousness. In fact, there was a couple of people who had what I would call a deprivation consciousness. And when almost every suggestion we made is, well, some people can't afford that. So the conclusion was that we would go to a no-host dinner to the restaurant across the road. Everybody would go to dinner, and then we would come back for the ceremony. During the meal, somebody went to the manager and paid for all the meals. Some people had come thinking they really couldn't afford to, and they got a salad and a glass of water. Some people came, had a couple of drinks before dinner, had a steak, had dessert, had another drink. Whoever it was, the infinite supply, paid for just what the people expected. And we got a little note in the little billboard saying, this meal has been provided from the infinite source or something like that. Pay it forward. And you know, I never heard the story of any of those people who actually did something to pay this favor forward. It's such an example of what you expect. That makes a demand upon the supply. Dr. Ken Gordon, who does he is the world spiritual, head of the world, I can't think of the name. He is worldwide the spiritual leader of Centers for Spiritual Living. And he does an affirmative prayer, which is a very specific sort of prayer. It's not the, we know everything is held in the loving arms of God, and all that's a good prayer, that's true. But it's not that type of prayer. It's very specifically and firmly making a demand upon the infinite supply. So Dr. Ken Gordon would not say, please God, let there be peace on earth. He would say, I command the peace that is God. We have to make a demand. In New Thought, we often speculate that each of us is God projecting itself into physicality in order to have the experience of itself. Each of us is one aspect of the one God expressing. Then whenever we have a desire for something, that's actually God nudging us to have that experience. Therefore, whatever experience we feel nudged towards must be available. And perhaps every experience we have or have had has been God having that possible, every possible experience in order to be complete. Not that God, of course, was ever incomplete, but maybe God is evolving too. Already complete, just like you and I, and continued to get better. Perhaps God is evolving. And I know that all of our experiences, even our sad or tragic experience, is an experience without which the oneness would not be complete. We'd not have the opportunity to know compassion and forgiveness. So we can use the law of demand and supply to get everything we want. And I would suggest to you that when we have all the things we will want something else. That's human nature. And ultimately, that something else that we want is nothing less than unity, an awareness and an experience of the unity that we already have and we are. But we keep putting it aside in pursuit of stuff and doing things. We actually want the kind of unity we can only have when we have walked the mile in the other man's moccasins. The unity we can only have when we have experienced each other's pain and suffering, and when we have poured our oil into our neighbor's pots. The supply of every good always somewhere awaits the demand. Would you join with me in meditation? And let us just contemplate the infinite supply which lies so near, awaiting, that before we ask for any good thing, it has already been provided. And that whatever we demand is supplied. And so let us make our demands be in the form of intention for all good, for each one. And let us make our demand today be for full reconciliation with our Indigenous brothers and sisters. For complete peace, peace of mind, peace of body, that everyone knows we are one, that every being celebrates our oneness. And that love grows through and as each one of us every moment of every day. May peace prevail on earth. May peace prevail in every heart. And so it is.
Breathe through me, breathe through me. Oh, blessed Spirit, breathe through me. Speak through me, speak through me. Oh, blessed Spirit, speak through me. Live through me, live through me. Oh, blessed Spirit, live through me. Speak through me, speak through me. Oh, blessed Spirit, speak through me. Live through me, live through me. Oh, blessed Spirit, live through me.
Nico,
Thomas.
thank you.
Pleasure.
Reverend Patricia, great talk. I'll share it now. So this morning on my walk, after my meditation, I was listening to something, and I'll be honest, I didn't even know what today's talk title was, so it's fascinating how things line up sometimes. At least I think it is. I had taken some notes from this talk, but also in the story of Jacob, one of his covenants with God at the end is that he will tithe 10% going forward. And I was listening to this talk, and here's what it said. If you have decided to be part of a community that is formed around a center, then you have also agreed to act in a manner that sustains the community and increases its competence in however that might look, whether it's financially, volunteer, whatever that is. And I just think it's so powerful what you shared this morning, that, the law of demand and supply, as I move on to this slide here, the things you could do. These are demands that all of us have made on this community. And the demands are always growing in terms of what people are looking for to be part of this community. And yet the supply never seems to end. The people stepping forward, willing to do meetings, hold classes, be in part of discussions groups, lead meditations, volunteer opportunities, whatever it is, it's just amazing to me how that continues to unfold. And a reminder, today is our very first Unity of Vancouver Island AGM at noon. The meeting ID is there, the passcode is there, it's also in the newsletter. You've also received a couple of emails with the circulated items that are necessary for the AGM. And so I look forward to seeing you there and being a part of today's historic moment. And it's so historic. No, this week the fellowship after service has been canceled, of course, because we have the AGM to take care of. So do not go onto that meeting ID that you would have gone to every previous week, as it will not be happening today. And join Reverend Vicky on Mondays at 7 p.m. For this Monday, it is I Am Presence in These Times. And again, the meeting ID is on your screen. It's also in our newsletter. And throughout the week, you can join Reverend Patricia for a few minutes of quiet reflection on Monday to Saturday at 9 a.m. And before every Sunday service at 10 a.m., you can be with either Don or Margaret for a meditation. And I believe that is expanding to others. Will be actually stepping in and offering meditation as well. And while we're here, I just want to acknowledge Don and Margaret for showing up every single week since the pandemic. Literally, since we went to online service, both Don and Margaret stepped forward and have led a meditation every single Sunday since then. And so thank you to them for again, people were asking for it, and somebody stepped forward to take it on. And as we prepare to reopen, many hands are needed. So tell us when you're available and what you would like to demand of us that you could do. What is it that you want to do that you just can't wait to demand of Unity of Vancouver Island? And you can reach out to minister@unityvancouverisland.com for stepping forward with that. And for our gratitude moment, as we say thank you for all that we have, all that we give, and all that we receive today, let's acknowledge and send gratitude out to our board of directors, to not only from our past Unity of Nanaimo, but Unity of Comox Valley, Unity of Victoria, for all of the board of directors that have served our community throughout the past year. And And I won't speak on behalf of the other boards. I will just say that I know that based on what I've seen, what I've come to know of those communities, that I can only imagine that their board their boards acted with the same faith and love and purpose that our board here acted with in the past year, and which was likely one of the most challenging times for a spiritual community to ever move through and stay together through. And so a huge acknowledgement to those people and all the work that they did. And in light of our desire to keep our community going forward, any financial opportunities that you see for yourself that you could donate to Unity of Vancouver Island, you can use the email donations at Unity Vancouver Island. You can also reach out to minister@unityvancouverisland.com if you have any questions, or Reverend Vicky at unityvancouverisland.com if you have any questions. And we say thank you, thank you, thank you for all of your continued support. And please join me in our prosperity affirmation. Somewhere there is already provided a lavish abundance for every human want. Knowing that the supply awaits the demand, I confidently and gratefully demand and expect love, peace, joy, and unlimited supply for myself and all others.
If I hear the ocean roar, if I see the eagles soar, if I sense what flowers say, then this is my Thanksgiving Day. If I catch the raindrops kiss, if I feel the sunset's bliss, if I blend with nature's way, then this is my Thanksgiving Day. If I hear you talk to me, if I see what you can be, if I love you on your way, then this is my Thanksgiving Day. Every day is time to give, every day is time to live, every day is time to say that this is my Thanksgiving Day.
And join me for the vision of Unity Worldwide Ministries, a world powerfully transformed through the growing movement of shared spiritual awakening. And for our children's blessing, we see the light of God shining as you. We love and appreciate you just the way you are. And now for our prayer for protection. The light that is God surrounds me. I am one with the light. The love that is God enfolds me. I am one with the love. The power that is God protects me. I am one with the power. The presence that is God watches over me. I am one with the presence. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well. And so it is. Amen.
Let